Hey everyone, and welcome to week 11. We are entering the kind of final third of the semester, which means we're having a kind of transition this week in that we're moving away from your research process and into putting together the reader's guide. So you can think of the reader's guide as kind of the culmination of all the research that you've been doing and all the thinking and writing you've been doing about your topic. And you're going to use a lot of what you've already done in your research logs in the reader's guide. And as I said before, you're going to focus on one aspect of the entire reader's guide document at a time. So if you think of the reader's guide as kind of like an ebook, we're going to be focusing on one section at a time as we put together your ebook. So the first thing we're going to focus on, as you can see this week, is the editor's introduction. So the editor's introduction is the biggest chunk of writing that you're going to do about your topic. So a lot of people, with doing this inquiry-based research, they're wondering, when am I going to write the research paper? And as I said, you don't have a typical research paper. The editor's introduction is your paper about your topic. But it's different than the thesis-based papers that you've done in the past. And we're going to look at a little bit why and go over what you're doing this week with the down draft and the fixed up draft. So just looking ahead, overview of the week, we have our last round of syntheses and talkbacks on Online Parlor 6. And so we have some people assigned to that. And then, as you know, everyone will do the talkback for Thursday. And then you do have a studio on Sunday on digital design to help you start thinking about what do you want your reader's guide to look like, how might you use digital design most effectively when putting together your own reader's guide ebook in Google Docs. Okay, so I'm going to walk through what we're doing here with the assignments. So for the editor's introduction, what you're doing for the downdraft, the first step. So once you have done the studio this week on composing processes, you should know what I mean by downdraft. As you can see, is you just get it down. So the downdraft for Tuesday, you're turning it in to me for a grade. I'm not grading it on quality, on how well it's written. I'm grading it on whether or not you have gotten some content down that you can use for your editor's introduction. So you're just getting as much down as you can. I'm asking you to please include all three parts of the editor's introduction in at least some rough form. And I would aim for about 500 words in your downdraft. Okay, and I think I'm going to add that on here to aim for 500 words because I think that's a good marker to aim for this first downdraft. So remember, the editor's introduction introduces all of the sources that you'll include in your reader's guide. So think about how your reader is going to see your editor's introduction before they interact with any of the sources that you include in your collection of sources. So I would suggest, you may have already looked at this, going through it again very carefully, listening through the walkthrough again, and not letting that phrase introduction trip you up. So a lot of people think of introductions as short, and that's not true of this genre. So the editor's introduction is an essay, and as you can see, it should be around 1,500 words total. And so that means you're kind of aiming for about 500 words per section. So in the first section, you're introducing your topic, and you'll use these pointers, questions, etc. to help you generate content for that. In the second section, you are introducing your sources and talking about the connections you see between them and why they are in the categories they are in. It's really important for this section that you are introducing each source by its title, and you're not just summarizing them, but talking about why they belong in that category and how they are in conversation with the other sources in that category as well. Okay, and then finally you have your closing thoughts. So think of how do you want to send your reader into the sources. What are some final things you want them to consider or notice as they go into your sources? Okay, so those are the 3 distinct sections. For your downdraft, you want to get something written in each of those sections. And again, aim for 500 words total for the downdraft. If you do more, that's great. That means you've got kind of more of a running start. But try to have written at least 500 words across those 3 sections for your downdraft. Okay, and then this can help you with your, what kind of persona do you have as the editor? How do you talk as an editor, write as an editor in your editor's introduction? This video and these excerpts can help give you some ideas of ways you might introduce things, transitions, etc. Okay, so that's a good resource for you as well. So let me go back here. So with the downdraft, you do not need to show it to your group members. No one else needs to see it. It's often a very rough draft, and that's fine. That's good. It doesn't have to be good. It just have to get it down. So you're just submitting it for me so that I can see that you've gotten something down. Okay, so you can submit it as either a Word or a Google Doc. And then on Thursday, let me get ahead here. So you'll have the talk back on Thursday, and then you'll do a fixed up draft. So if you read Lamont's Shitty First Drafts, you should also know what she means by a fixed up draft. So basically taking what you've gotten down in that first down draft and fixing it up. So adding to it, revising it, etc., so that you have a better rough draft. So it may not be perfect, but it's fixed up and it's ready for people in your group to read and review. So for this draft, make sure that if it's not already in your group's folder, so if you didn't start it in your group's folder, you need to move it there. If it's not there, I'm not going to grade it, and I will not be able to see it either. So please make sure that it's in your group's folders because they'll be looking at it next week. And then submit the URL to me for this assignment here. So that's what you're turning in, the website URL. Okay, so that's all I want to go over right now as far as the editor's introduction. Again, we're really getting the foundation of it down this week, and you'll continue to work on it and revise it, but you're really getting as much writing done with it this week as you can. The more writing you can get down, the better, the more you'll have to work with as we move forward. Okay, so please post any questions that you have or email me, and I hope you all have a great week.